This is going to be a fun ride of a bourbon review. At some point in this, I'm going to bring up Chinese food. And the fact that this bottle compares to some of the bottles that scored in a very similar range still blows my mind. But let's have some fun with it anyway. So, this was one of the number one requested reviews for the channel, and I finally got into it. Today, we are going to do the Benchmark Full Proof. So, thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. Ah, all right, there we go. Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me today for another whiskey review. And today, we're doing the Benchmark Full Proof. Now, this is the first in the Benchmark line that I have tried. It was one of the number one requested reviews for the channel that I've been getting, and I finally gave in and I was like, all right, I'll try some Benchmark. I was very skeptical going into this for $25 Buffalo Trace product, but you know what? I'm glad people pushed me over this edge. I learned quite a lot. And by the end of this, and we'll get into it towards the end as well, I was so surprised of what bottles scored very similarly to this $25 bottle. Some of the ones that I'll compare it to later are like, oh man, they scored the same and they're like six times as much. It's kind of ridiculous by comparison, but we'll get into that. This, though, is very good, especially if we're talking about daily drinker here. Now, this is the only one I've tried. I haven't tried the top shelf. I haven't tried other ones in that line, the Bottles and Bond. But hmm, now I might have to, based off of my impression of this one. So let's pull up the stats here. I've been yabbing and yabbing here. So this one was $25. I got this in Northern Kentucky. For me personally, I see this in Northern Kentucky and in Indiana all the time. I'm over in Cincinnati for context. So in my area, these are readily available, though I hear from some others that this isn't like all around the country type of available thing. So this might vary in your area. It's 125 proof. It's not age stated. Man, I'd be surprised if it was age stated, if it wasn't like 4 years, but then they might be using some older stuff in this blend as well. It's kind of confusing like that, but we'll go through the tasting notes in just a moment. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to break down the nose, the palate, and the finish, and then we'll go into the final scores of where we have this thing. So, thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Cheers, everybody. Oh, man. Tell you what, I like this nose. I feel like I like this nose a lot better than I should. But it comes across as a lot of caramel, toffee, oh, the like a burnt caramel too. And I've been debating on this one. So with the Buffalo Trace, you usually get like a grape or a cherry. I actually think this one comes across more like a blueberry, but it's still got that berry note to it. And there's a bit of a powdered sugar there as well. It's a really decent nose for what it is. Now, as I pull it up here, when the scores come into play, I didn't give it like a high mark on the nose. I gave it pretty much averages across the board. But even then, in context, we are talking about a $25 bourbon. That's still pretty good. So don't take my thumbs across here as a negative sign. I'm actually digging it quite a bit. Let's get into the taste. Hmm. That high proof brings a nice mouthfeel to this thing, man. It's nice and oily all the way across. Up front, there's a lot of salted caramel. Man, It's actually like really rich for what it is too. Uh, Salted caramel, burnt edges even. If we were getting into like a little bit of a savoriness of it, yeah, then that nice creamy mouthfeel. Oh, let's go in for another sip. Man, there's a little bit of a nuttiness here that throws me off a little bit for being Buffalo Trace. The note that I'm gonna throw out, and I find this weird myself, and I'm just gonna say it anyway. It's almost like a General Tso's chicken sauce. So that ginger, the sesame, combined with like a chili sauce, that's all there for me mid palate, and I dig it. I really dig it. I don't know where that comes from. I've never called anything else like that out before, but that is what I get mid palate. Really intrigued. Let me know in the comments. I need you to take a sip of this thing and think about some General Tso's chicken, because either I'm crazy, which is probably true, but man, I swear it's there. I swear it's there. So give me some help or just slap me in the comments either way. Man, I think that brings it for most of the notes I'm gonna say on the mid palate there. The man, that's so much caramel. I know that's generic, but it's actually like a really pronounced, delicious caramel. So even then, it's kind of weird. I'm gonna give it a sideways thumb on the palate. I gave it mostly sevens, and I did give it an eight though on the mouthfeel. So I teetered a bit on whether I was gonna give this a thumbs up on the palate, but I gave it a thumb sideways. Now, this is where I do escalate it a little bit. It's gonna be on the finish. I think it's because of how oily it is, and the finish follows through, and the flavors actually escalate, and they follow through as well, and it's got a decent finish. I'm still tasting it right now. So I'm gonna do one more sip, and then we'll talk about the finish. I blueberries. I swear, it's the blueberries. It's not there is grape. Maybe there's grape on the finish. I debate. Grape and blueberries. The blueberries that drives me nuts. But I get it on the finish of this thing. There's also a almost distinct vanilla yogurt going on the finish. What is going on with this benchmark foolproof? What notes am I throwing out here? It's crazy. It That's what drives me nuts. Every time I drink this thing, I have a lot of fun with this particular bottle. I'm giving it a thumbs up on the finish, particularly for the length of the finish, but it's blueberry vanilla yogurt on the finish. How is that not cool? All right, let's get into the final stats here. So, on the flavors, in the end, I did give it a 70 out of 100. Experience, though, gave it a 76, escalated a bit because of the mouthfeel and that longer finish. Value score, it gets all of the points. 25 bucks for this. I mean, come on, I'm having so much fun. You can see the look on my face here. I think this bottle is actually really cool. I'm telling you. I'm gonna put this in blinds and just mess the crap out of Kelsey and Darrell. So in the end, this came in at a 76 out of 100. All time, 124 out of 165 bottles reviewed. Though keep in mind the price. Like, I know when I put it that way, maybe it seems like I'm batting it down. You can tell that I'm not batting it down. I am pushing this thing up. It bats out of its range for being $25. And what I thought was really funny, I went right around in our scoring system. I was like, what other bottles have scored around a 76, 77? I'm going to throw out a few names here, and a few of them might surprise you for things that I will compare it to that it has equaled out in the scoring system, mainly because of its value, but because of also that mouthfeel, the long finish, and the flavors that this thing brings. The one that surprised me the most, oh man, Bardstown Discovery 9. I gave that a 77. I'm giving Benchmark Full Proof a 76. That is very interesting. Of course, I had to bat down the Bardstown Discovery 9 for the value side of it. So that's the equalizer in some of this. Another one that surprised me, Remus Highest Rye, the 6-year Highest Rye bourbon that just came out. I gave that one a 77. This one's at a 76. Batting around the same range. I just got done with a pick on behalf of Barrels for Hope. We picked from Dark Arts a 7.5 year Highest Rye MGP that was finished in Oloroso Sherry. It was amazing. And here I am comparing its base product to Benchmark Full Proof. And then we got the Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Gave that one a 78. Benchmark Full Proof a 76. That's not far off from this thing, man. This thing is a fun bottle. Challenge people with this one. Buy this one for your whiskey friends. Do it at a tasting. Do it a blind tasting. Don't tell them what they're getting into. I'm telling you, man, it's going to bat above its price range and above expectations. They are not going to know what hit them. I can't wait to give this to Kelsey and Darrell in a blind. But now that I've said that 2 or 3 times in this video, it's going to be about 6 months to a year before I play that card. But I am definitely playing that card with this one, and they are going to love it. Just watch. So if you haven't given this one a chance yet because you're being snooty about it, don't be. This one's great, man. This one's a good daily sipper. I could drink this all the time and not be disappointed. This is now my favorite go-to as a flask whiskey. If I'm going to a movie or going out and I need a flask, this actually might be in there compared to some of the MGPs that I typically put in that situation. So take that as you will, but that is my ringing endorsement. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends, for this whiskey review. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Benchmark Full Proof. Am I crazy? And tell me about that General Tso's note with the ginger and the sesame and the chili sauce. That's mid-palate. I swear that's there mid-palate. I'm going to take another sip. Man, I put that thought in your head, and you're going to be now craving some takeout Chinese. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. We'll catch you on the next whiskey review. Goodbye, everybody.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello